So I happened to see they were having a night class at NCCC on quilting, so I just signed up for it. And like Mary Ann, back then I started with everything was by hand. There was no rotary cutter. And I did primarily pieced quilts, but I like the look of the applique, and I've tried a multitude of different techniques to learn it. But that's why now that the wool has become popular, I like that because you don't have to worry about turning all those edges under it. So I went to the quilting. Then once I was into the quilting, I was still dabbling a little in embroidery, and I started dabbling in beadwork and embellishing with beads on my own. There wasn't a whole lot out there at that time. So when I discovered the classes at the Historical Society for the bead embroidery, I signed up for those, and I actually stopped quilting for the years I followed Rosemary because I was still working. I couldn't do everything. So I got every class of hers I could get, and in the process we became friends. So then she stopped teaching because she wanted to do the big markets. And so then what drew me back to the quilting was the Bicentennial Quilt, because I worked in the County Clerk's office. My bosses were the chairman of all the events for that bicentennial year, so I was active in a lot of the events that happened. And I knew I wanted to be part of the quilt, so that's when I came back to the Kenan Guild, and I've been back into it ever since. And now for me, with all the embellishing and everything, because I belong to a sampler guild, so the embroidery, the beading, and the quilting, it's all come for full circle, and now it's all being done. And that's really, I guess, where I was headed. But at the time, I didn't know it. For me, I take two routes, and it depends. If I see a pattern I really like, then I pick out, and I like to work with prints. Now, right now in the modern craze, they're using a lot of solids, but I like prints. So I will pick out what I call the focus print, a print that I really like, and then I pull all my other fabrics to go with that. But sometimes I'll see a fabric that I really love, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but we've all learned if you don't buy it when you see it, it's gone. It's gone. So then I will buy usually at least a yard, maybe a couple, 2-3 yards if I think I could use it in a border, and it'll just sit until the right project comes along for it. You know, you look at a quilt from afar and you get a certain feeling from it, but sometimes you're really amazed once you get up close to it to see what it is that's created that effect. It depends on the end effect you're trying to achieve, because sometimes, you know, you want flowery type of things. Sometimes you want maybe a geometric or a stripe. Sometimes you might want a larger print that's spaced out.
The other materials, you mentioned wool. What would be some other types of, I guess, materials?
Well, you could really use any fabric, but some are harder to work with than others. Some, like I have, one of my pieces here is out of silk.
Okay.
Silk is nice to work with. But as far as printed fabric, I think cottons are, but people are using, depending what you're making. If you're doing a tote bag, you might go to the decorator part of the fabric store because you want a sturdier fabric. So decorator fabric can be used at really any fabric that you want to work with.
The field is wide open today. It's very open. You can go and use almost anything.
And that's the thing, even through school. I took because I was college preparatory, so I took all those classes you were supposed to take. And when I took geometry, I hated it. I mean, I did okay, but I hated it. And I discovered as I went then into college, I have an aptitude for mathematics. Even in high school, my trig teacher, and I just didn't know it. So it's part of it is you learn more about yourself, too, in the process.